Justin Trudeau. We cannot allow falsehoods and disinformation about Russia's invasion of Ukraine to continue spreading in Canada. That's why we asked the CRTC to review Russia Today's presence on Canadian airwaves. Today, in a move consistent with what many allies are doing, they banned it. All right, so they banned it, and what does that mean for us? That just means another source of information has been taken away. Can you make up your own mind? You let me know. Do you think you can make your own mind up? Can you filter information? Can you decide what is misinformation, disinformation? What's the difference between disinformation and misinformation? You tell me. I want to know. Russia Today was launched in 2005, and now here we are in 2022. It has already been removed by private broadcasters in Canada, but the CRTC has made a decision that now you're not allowed to watch Russia Today either, because you can't be trusted to make up your own mind. Estonian Central Council of Canada in a petition said the CRTC should go further and begin blocking Russian websites. So that's the next step, begin blocking Russian websites available to Canadian internet users. Block all websites and social media accounts of Russian state media, wrote Reet Ser of Toronto, Vice President of the Council of the Estonian Central Council of Canada. Block websites. The Ukrainian Canadian Congress also petitioned the CRTC to block websites. Media programs funded by the Russian government were contrary to all basic Canadian values, wrote Peter Shturian, President of the Congress's Toronto branch. Canadian Heritage is running all these programs. Canadian Heritage are also the ones who have been paying the press in different ways with all kinds of different stipends and bursaries and tax rebates. So Canadian Heritage seems to be really the ministry of truth at this point. That's my personal opinion. You let me know what yours is. Canadian Heritage. There is an urgency to act. As Canadians, we can't tolerate disinformation and propaganda. Democracy didn't happen by accident. We need to fight for it. Canadians can play a role in pointing out and stopping the spread of misinformation and harmful disinformation. We can choose to advance a new shared vision of democracy in the digital age. It begins with digital inclusion, where an informed and engaged Canadian public can participate meaningfully in society, both online and offline. That's the Honorable Pablo Rodriguez, Minister of Canadian Heritage, Minister of Truth. Now, I just want to point out something that the military has already used some of the things that they've learned in Afghanistan on the Canadian public. And here we go. Military leaders saw pandemic as unique opportunity to test propaganda techniques on Canadians, Forces report says. A plan devised by the Canadian Joint Operations Command relied on propaganda techniques similar to those employed during the Afghanistan war. So they used misinformation, disinformation, or maybe just information tactics, however you want to put it, on the Canadian public. And that is the military using on the Canadian public. Explain that one to me. Propaganda plan was developed and put in place in April 2020, even though the Canadian Forces had already acknowledged that information, operations, and targeting policies and doctrines are aimed at adversaries and have a limited application in a domestic concept. So these are techniques, propaganda techniques, that they have learned to fight information wars on the ground in hot war zones, and now you're telling me you're using on the Canadian public? I'm just trying to put that out there to juxtapose with what the Canadian Heritage Department is doing on orders of what it looks like Trudeau and the Governor General and the CRTC. Basically, their truth is the truth. We're not able to make up our own decisions. We're not able to decide what's true. Are you able? Let me know in the comments, please. The military campaign called for shaping and exploiting information. CJOC, Canadian Joint Operations Command, claimed the information operations scheme was needed to head off civil disobedience by Canadians during the Rona pandemic and to bolster government messages about said pandemic. Shaping and exploiting opinions. Shaping and exploiting information to head off civil disobedience. Are you kidding me? Okay, so the way the CRTC works is that they have something called interventions. You file an intervention with the CRTC, you make your opinion heard, you file something online, it's called an intervention, and then most of the people who did this specifically for Russia Today were individuals, some of them were groups. Several interveners made comments regarding the promotion of toxic narratives, propaganda, lies, and conspiracy theories on Russia state media, including RT, and noted that this narrative was designed to spread hate against Russia's critics and enemies and undermine Western democracies. However, few provided concrete evidence to support their positions. That's the CRTC right there. A lot of complaints, a lot of interventions. Most of them didn't have any kind of actual information. Zero proof, no concrete evidence to support the decision. All right, now myself, I haven't refrained from commenting very much on Russia, Ukraine, all this kind of stuff, because I just feel like I got to be educated. I got to learn things. I got to read history. I got to watch videos. I got to understand actually the history of a place before I could really comment on geopolitical huge movements, you know. But if you remove information from me, it's very hard for me to make up my mind. It's very hard for me to get accurate information, make up my, and I'm sure the same thing goes for everybody here. It doesn't matter what part of life you come from, whatever it is you do for work or whatever, you have a mind, you're able to make decisions yourself. But hey, the Canadian government doesn't think we're able to do that. All right, let's look at the interventions that were primarily sent by Ukrainian groups or Eastern European groups. Okay, now this is really interesting. So the same CEEC, Central and Eastern European Council in Canada, also submitted information specifically about what happened here in Canada. They sent information about the recent protests in Ottawa that Russia state media gave a platform to and legitimized extremist voices that were calling for the removal of the Canadian government. So the CEC, the Central and Eastern European Council in Canada, is actually saying, hey, look, Canada, the Canadian government, CRTC, take a look at this, because the RT was actually promoting the protest, the Freedom Convoy, that kind of thing. That's really amazing. You're going to use that to remove them from being able to broadcast. I did see Zelensky dancing around in high heels. You know, he's an actor. Yeah, that much I know. I've got my own opinion and I'm forming it by researching and learning. If you got information, send it to me. My email, rokaku8@gmail.com, or write in the comments, or both. Let me know what you think about what's going on. I'm trying to understand this conflict and go into it deeper so I have something actually meaningful to say. I can't just expound on things that I don't have information about or that I haven't adequately thought about. And I think most people are like that too. I really do have faith in individuals to make up their own mind about what's information, what's disinformation, what's misinformation, and I think that's normal. Finally, in addition to concerns about the programming targeting Ukrainians, the record of this proceeding also indicated that the programming on RT has also historically targeted the LGBTQ2+ communities. Just to throw it out there as well, these guys also hate LGBTQ2VBQ. I'm hungry now. Hail, brethren, let me know in the chat, wcfreedom.com. Go there to sign up. I got neighbors' kids are crying. Those are not my kids. wcfreedom.com. Sign up to the newsletter. Be sending out information there. And let's take it to the limit. Let's take it to the top. Let's bring information freedom back to the people. I'm sitting here outside because there's a lot of noise in my house today. It's warm today. It's super hot in Canada, in Ottawa. A big hail, brethren. Hail freedom. Thank you so much. wcfreedom.com. Hail, brethren.